Good morning, students. Today we will start with the next kind of permanent tissues, that is complex permanent tissue. Now we all have studied earlier that I have told you earlier that complex permanent tissues, they are why called so because they are made up of different type of cells. Okay, so that is why they are named as complex permanent tissue. But we have studied about the simple permanent tissues, that they are made up of only one kind of cells. So these complex permanent tissues, they are further of two types, that is xylem and phloem. And xylem and phloem together combine to form the vascular bundle, or we can say the vascular tissue. So complex permanent tissue can also be named as vascular bundles or vascular tissues. Now let us begin with the xylem. What is the function of xylem? What are the types of cells which forms the xylem, and what are the structures of the cells which form the xylem? So the first one is, if we talk about the function of xylem, xylem helps in the conduction of water and minerals. Okay, as roots they absorb water and minerals from the soil. Okay, so the xylem that is present in the root convey the or transport the water to the stem, further to the leaves for the preparation of the food by the photosynthesis. So what do the xylem do? It just transport the water from root to stem and from stem to leaves. So there is only one direction in which the supply is being done. Clear? Now if we talk about the types of cells or the components of xylem, there are different components of xylem, that are tracheids, vessels, xylem fiber and xylem parenchyma. Among these four kind of cells which constitute to form the xylem, three are dead and one is living. Okay, you have to learn this, that among the components of xylem, three components they are dead or non-living and one is living. So let us begin with the first kind of cells which form the xylem. They are the tracheid cells. Now tracheid cells, they are elongated as I have shown in the diagram. Okay, they are non-living. I have already discussed with you. They have thick walled cells. They are hollow cells. You can see that the spaces are in between these cells. Okay, they have tapering end, pointed end hota hai. Thick lignified cell wall is there. Okay, so this is the structure of tracheids. Now we come on to the next kind of component of xylem, that is vessel. Vessels, they are elongated, you can see, broad, you can see the structure here, cylindrical cells which have perforated ends. Now what is the meaning of perforated ends? Perforated ends means कि इनके ends के ऊपर perforations हैं. Perforations का मतलब क्या हुआ? Holes. What are present? Holes are present at their ends. जैसे आप sieve देखते हो, छलनी देखते हो, छलनी के अंदर छोटे छोटे होल्स होते हैं, इसी तरह से इनके भी एंड्स पे परफोरेशंस प्रेजेंट हैं. दे आर फाउंड इन एंजियोस्पर्म्स. एंजियोस्पर्म्स मीन्स फ्लावरिंग प्लांट. व्हाट आर एंजियोस्पर्म्स? एंजियोस्पर्म मीन्स फ्लावरिंग प्लांट. दे आर प्रेजेंट एंड टू एंड, यानी ये सीरीज में प्रेजेंट है. ये परफोरेशन हो गई, एक और प्रेजेंट हो गया, फिर परफोरेशन हो गई, एक और हो गया, फिर परफोरेशन हो गई, एक और हो gaya. और ये परफोरेशंस क्या कर रही है? मटेरियल को पास ऑन कराने में हेल्प करा रही हैं. ओके, दे आर अगेन डेड सेल्स एंड they possess pits. इनके बीच में मैंने यहाँ पर डायग्राम में आपको pits दिखाई हुई हैं. Okay. Next kind of fiber is xylem fiber. Now xylem fiber, it is also named as wood fiber. Clear? It is again named as wood fiber. Now they are again made up of dead sclerenchymatous cells. Which kind of cells? Because fibers are there, we all know that fibers, they are kind of sclerenchymatous tissue. Okay, so one of the component of xylem is sclerenchymatous tissue, and which of these? Fiber. Okay, so the cells, they are long, narrow, with lignified walls and pointed ends. You can see the diagram over here that the cell is having pointed ends. जैसा हमने फाइबर का स्ट्रक्चर पढ़ा था, सेम वैसा ही स्ट्रक्चर है. And it provides mechanical support to the plant. Clear? Then comes the xylem parenchyma. So now it is also termed as wood parenchyma, and it is kind of parenchymatous cells. Parenchymatous cells is again one of the simple permanent tissue. Now what is the main point to remember here? That this parenchyma, this xylem parenchyma is living in nature. So how we can say that cell is living? When it is having nucleus as well as cytoplasm. कोई भी सेल है जब उसके पास प्रोटोप्लास्ट प्रेजेंट होता है, then we can call it as living. So this wood parenchyma, it is having nucleus as well as cytoplasm, which combine to form the protoplasm. So what is the function of this? It can store starch, fat, and helps in the transport of water. ओके, सो जो आपका वुड पार्ट होता है, ठीक है, जो आपका मेन जो वुड पार्ट होता है ट्री का, दैट इज xylem. दैट इज xylem. क्लियर? सो नाउ वी मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट component, that is phloem. That is phloem. Now phloem is the second component, and if we see the phloem part, phloem, it helps in the conduction of food, okay, in both the directions. So let's see the diagram. We all know that food, it is prepared in which part of the plant? It is prepared in the leaves. Okay, so as xylem, what it does, xylem has transported water and mineral to the leaves for photosynthesis. यहाँ पर photosynthesis हुई, food prepare हुआ. जैसे ही food prepare होता है, now the prepared food has to be supplied to all parts of the plant, because each part, it has to perform its activity. So each part of the plant, it requires the energy, it requires the food. So that food which is manufactured in the leaf is transported in both the direction. It means upward and downward. Clear? So if we talk about the components of phloem, again phloem is made up of 4 types of cells. They are sieve tube, companion cells, phloem fiber, and phloem parenchyma. Phloem parenchyma. Okay. Now among these, 3 they are dead, and 3 they are living, and 1 is dead. xylem में केस उल्टा था. xylem में 3 dead 1 living था. यहाँ पर क्या है? 3 living 1 dead. Okay, you have to learn this. Now if we talk about the components of the phloem, the first component of phloem is sieve tubes. They are elongated tube-like living cells. They can be cylindrical or oval in shape. They have thin wall placed end to end. ये ट्यूब लाइक स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं, ठीक है. दे आर ऑल्सो प्लेस्ड एंड टू एंड. ओके, दे आर नॉन न्यूक्लिएटेड एट मेच्योरिटी. जैसे ही मेच्योरिटी आती है इन सेल्स में, मेच्योर होने के बाद इनके पास न्यूक्लियस नहीं होता. एंड दे हैव लार्ज वैक्यूल्स. ओके, now between the two sieve tube there is present perforated sieve plate with the pores. यहाँ पर दो sieve tubes के बीच का जो distance है उसके अंदर perforated plate होती है. perforations का मैं मतलब आपको बता चुकी हूँ. it means जिसमें holes present होते हैं. so sieve का मतलब होता है छलनी. ओके, तो यहाँ पर ये परफोरेशंस हैं, तो ईज़िली क्या होता है, एक सीव ट्यूब से दूसरे सीव ट्यूब में मटेरियल ईज़िली पास ऑन होता है. ओके, एंड सेकंड पॉइंट जो हमें यहाँ पर लर्न करना है कि सीव ट्यूब्स दे डोंट हैव देयर ओन न्यूक्लियस व्हेन दे गेट मैच्योर. ओके, another thing, the another part, that is the companion cells. These are the cells which are always founded associated with the sieve tube side by side. You can see the diagram. Here I have shown this is the sieve tube and these are the companion cells. They both are associated with each other. ओके, ये आपको इकट्ठा दिखाई देंगे. नाउ द कंपेनियन सेल्स आर elongated, narrow, thin-walled, living and nucleated. So after maturity what happened? Sieve tube and companion cells, they share their nucleus. ओके, कंपेनियन सेल अपना न्यूक्लियस किसके साथ शेयर करता है? सीव ट्यूब के साथ शेयर करता है. देयरफॉर दे आर ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज सिस्टर सेल्स बिकॉज दे शेयर देयर न्यूक्लियस विथ ईच अदर. So that is why they are called as sister cells. So these companion cells, they help in the conduction of food, okay, with the help of the sieve tubes. Now the next one is phloem fiber. Again the fiber part of sclerenchyma. The cells are elongated, having lignified wall with pits. These are dead cells, okay, and sclerenchymatous because fiber is there. They serve to provide the mechanical support. Dead हैं तो automatically जो भी cell dead होगा वो mechanical support ही दे पाएगा. Clear? Now the next one is phloem parenchyma. Now it is kind of parenchyma cells. They are elongated, pointed structures, thin-walled parenchymatous cells, and these phloem parenchyma, they are absent in monocots. Monocots are the seeds having one cotyledon, like maize, wheat, rice. They all are monocots, so they don't have phloem parenchyma. So this phloem parenchyma, it helps in the conduction and the food storage. तो ये दो काम करता है. एक तो फूड को ट्रांसपोर्ट करने में हेल्प करेगा, सेकेंडली फूड को स्टोर करने में भी हेल्प करेगा. सो दिस वाज ऑल अबाउट द कॉम्प्लेक्स permanent tissue. Okay, and this phloem fiber, it is also termed as bast fiber. It is also termed as bast fiber. Clear? Now this was all about the complex permanent tissue. Now we will start with the last kind of the plant tissue, that is protective tissue. As name is suggesting us that it is protective tissue, so what will be its main function? Its main function will be protection. Now अब ये protective tissue है, protection इसका काम है, तो ये अंदर की तरफ तो नहीं present होगा ना. ये बाहर प्रेजेंट होगा. सो इट इज प्रेजेंट इन आउटर रीजन ऑफ रूट, स्टेम, leaf and flower, or in simple terms you can say that protective tissue is present all over the plant in the outer region. Now protective tissue, it is further divided into two parts, epidermis and the cork. Now let's study about the epidermis. Epidermis is the outermost layer of the plant organs. Plant organs की जितनी भी outermost layer है, that is termed as epidermis. That is termed as epidermis. Now we have already discussed that what will be its function. It provides protection to the internal tissue. ओके इसके अंदर जो भी टिश्यू है ये उसको क्या करती है, प्रोटेक्शन प्रोवाइड करती है. नाउ माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स, द एपिडर्मिस ऑफ रूट, द एपिडर्मिस ऑफ रूट, it is called as epiblema. Now this epiblema, or we can say the epidermis of root, it contain numerous hairs like structure. Okay, and these hair like structures, they are termed as root hair. These root hairs, what they do, they increase the surface area of the root so that roots can absorb water and minerals in large amount. To increase their absorption capacity, the root hairs, they are present, so they help in water absorption. Now if we talk about the epidermis of young stem, it is green and protective in nature. Now epidermis of old stem, they contain small pore-like structures, some ruptured openings called as lenticell. Again important topic. What are the lenticels? They are present in the epidermis of the old stem. They are the ruptured opening which helps in the exchange of gases. Now, these epidermal cells on the aerial part. Aerial part means the part which is present above the ground. They secrete a waxy shiny layer which is resistant to water. यानी जो stem है, leaves हैं, इनकी एपिडर्मिस एक केमिकल सिक्रीट करती है जो क्या करता है, उसके ऊपर एक परत बना लेता है, एक लेयर बना देता है, और वो लेयर कैसी दिखाई देती है, वैक्सी, स्लिपरी होती है टच करने में. ओके, शाइनी होती है. तो ये क्या करती है, ये वाटर के रेजिस्टेंट होती है, यानी वाटर को अपने अक्रॉस मूव नहीं करने देती. सो दैट्स वाई इट प्रिवेंट वाटर लॉस. इवन ये कवरिंग है, सो इट विल प्रोवाइड मैकेनिकल, इट विल प्रिवेंट द cell from the mechanical injury or attack of any parasite like fungus. ओके, हमारी बहुत सी क्रॉप्स डैमेज होती हैं फंगस से, ठीक है, तो वहाँ से ये इसको प्रिवेंट करता है कि फंगस इसके ऊपर अटैक ना कर सके. अब कुछ डेजर्ट प्लांट्स होते हैं, उनकी जो एपिडर्मिस होती है दैट इज़ थिक एंड दे ऑल्सो हैव waxy coating of cutin. Cutin is the material which forms the waxy coating which makes the epidermis thick, that prevent the water loss. Because desert plants है ना, desert में water scarcity is there. Okay, so if there is water scarcity, they have to store the water. So this thick cuticle, this thick waxy coating which is made up of cutin and is called as cuticle, this thick coating, it will prevent the water loss. Now epidermis of leaf and the green soft parts, they have small openings called as stomata. They have very minute opening called as stomata. Now these stomatas, they consist of two kidney shaped, or we can even say bean shaped guard cells. These guard cells, they enclose an aperture called as the stomatal pore. इन गार्ड सेल्स के अंदर एक छोटी सी ओपनिंग होती है, एक छोटा सा अपर्चर होता है जिसको हम क्या बोलते हैं, स्टोमेटल पोर. So guard cell along with the stomatal pore, they are also called as stomatal apparatus. Okay. Now guard cells, they are surrounded by accessory cells. Accessory cells matlab helping cells. Okay. So as the water, it runs inside these accessory cells, it moves to the guard cells, and guard cells, inside the guard cells, due to the osmosis, pressure is exerted on the guard cell and stomata open during the daytime. Now when the stomata is opened, it helps in exchange of gases, and the second important part in which stomata is helping is transpiration. I hope you all have heard about the term transpiration earlier. Transpiration, it is the process of losing down the extra amount of water in the form of vapors from the leaf. यानी लीफ सरफेस पे जैसे ही सनलाइट पड़ती है और स्टोमेटाज इनके सरफेस पे प्रेजेंट होते हैं, इन स्टोमेटाज के थ्रू वेपर्स के फॉर्म में एक्स्ट्रा वाटर क्या हो जाता है, लॉस्ट हो जाता है. दिस procedure is termed as transpiration. Sorry. Now this is the diagram which is elaborating the structure of stomata. A single structure of stomata, the zoom picture of this one. Okay. अगर हम लीफ के स्ट्रक्चर को देखें या फिर ग्रीन स्टेम के स्ट्रक्चर को देखें तो इस तरह से हमें न्यूमरस स्टोमेटास दिखाई देते हैं. तो अगर हम इसी स्ट्रक्चर को जूम कर कर देखें तो हमें इस तरह से ओपन स्टोमेटा दिखाई देता है. ओके. सो दिस वाज अबाउट द एपिडर्मिस. सो एपिडर्मिस में हमने क्या क्या पढ़ा? एपिडर्मिस में हमने रूट हेयर्स के बारे में पढ़ा, लेंटिसेल्स के बारे में पढ़ा, क्यूटिकल के बारे में पढ़ा, एंड फाइनली वी हैव स्टडीड अबाउट द स्टोमेटा. नेक्स्ट काइंड ऑफ protective tissue is cork. Now this cork, it is present in the old stems. It is present in the old stems. They are formed by the activity of lateral meristematic tissue. Cork is also termed as bark. हमने पढ़ा था सेल की जब सबसे पहले डिस्कवरी हुई थी डेड सेल की, दैट वाज इन दी bark cell only, that was in the cork only, which was done by the Robert Hooke. Okay, so cork, it is again one of the protective tissue. If we weigh it, अगर हम उसको weight करते हैं, it is very light, it is highly compressible and do not catch fire easily. So these are the characteristic features of the cork cell. They have a chemical called as suberin. This suberin makes it impermeable to water. अब जो कॉर्क लेयर होती है उसके ऊपर केमिकल डिपॉजिट हो जाता है. क्या केमिकल है? सुबरिन. व्हाट इज द नेम ऑफ द केमिकल? सुबरिन. ये सुबरिन क्या करता है? वाटर को अंदर या बाहर पास ऑन नहीं होने देता. ये कॉर्क को इम्परमिएबल बना देता है. इम्परमिएबल मतलब जिसके थ्रू वाटर पास ऑन नहीं कर सकता. वाटर एज वेल एज गैसेस जिसके थ्रू पास ऑन नहीं कर सकती. सो दे प्रोटेक्ट द वुडी टिश्यू. ओके. कमर्शियली दिस कॉर्क इज यूज्ड फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ इंसुलेशन. इंसुलेशन मीन्स इंसुलेटर्स क्या होते हैं? इंसुलेटर्स वो मटेरियल होता है जो हीट को या लाइट को अपने अक्रॉस पास ना होने दे. ओके. दे आर वाटर प्रूफ एज वी नो दैट कॉर्क इज इम्परमिएबल टू वाटर. ओके. सो इट इज यूज्ड एज वाटर प्रूफ substances. To make many kind of waterproof substances we use cork. Even they are used for absorbing any kind of shock. ठीक है. किसी भी चीज़ को अगर शॉक से बचाना है, किसी भी तरह के झटके से बचाना है, सो दैट इज़ मेड अप ऑफ कॉर्क. Okay, so let's take the example. Let's just view the diagram. If I show you, this is the ruptured epidermis. Okay, now inside that it is the lateral meristematic tissue which divide its cells rapidly, so this structure, it is called as cork. It is called as cork cells, which are formed by the activity of lateral meristematic tissue. So this was all about the plant tissue. I hope आपको समझ में आया है that what are the different kind of plant tissues. Okay, so if I describe you the various kind of plant tissues, the plant tissues, they are divided into meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Meristematic tissues, they were of three types based on their position: axial, intercalary and lateral. Okay, and based on their structure, they are of formation or origin, they are of two type: primary and secondary meristem. Now permanent tissue, they are further divided into two: simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. Simple permanent tissue, they are of three types: parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. And complex permanent tissue, they are of two types: xylem and phloem. Other than this, there is protective tissue also. Protective tissue is divided into two categories, that is epidermis and cork. So that was about the complete flow chart of the plant tissue. Thank you.